Hey, it's Sri here, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you about the 3 most important steps that you can take in order to give your husband space during a really difficult time in your marriage or relationship. Now before we dive in, I just want to let you know that I'm opening up some free spots to my masterclass where I show you the 3 most important steps that my client Sarah took to be able to save her marriage in less than 60 days. You're going to absolutely love it, and we're going to dive really deep into those steps in order to help you to move forward in your marriage or relationship. So stick around to the end and I'll give you all the details on how you can access that masterclass. Every Sundays and Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be uploading some new videos that are going to walk you through not only important steps about how you can improve your marriage, but also about how you can understand more about male psychology and how to really awaken your feminine spirit. So click the subscribe button now and make sure that you get the notifications around getting access to these videos every single week. Now the steps I'm going to walk you through today are at the very core of male psychology, because here's the thing. In all the years that I've been doing this work, helping women to be able to save their marriages and improve themselves, one of the things I notice a lot is that there are some fundamental differences between men and women. There just are. And I see so many relationships fall apart because a lot of the times each partner doesn't have a clue about what the other person is saying or isn't interpreting those messages in the right way. Now listen, just to be clear, this isn't about why the woman has to do all the work, or why the men has to do the work, or anything like that. This is about someone taking the lead. And the fact that you're watching this video tells me that you're actually really committed to wanting to grow and improve you. So it's really important that you take the lead. And that's why I'm going to talk you through those 3 steps now on how you can effectively give your husband or partner space to be able to improve the quality of your relationship or marriage. Now the first step that you can take in order to give your husband or partner more space effectively is to limit defensiveness. Okay, now what do I mean by that? You see, when men are in a marriage or relationship and there are problems, okay, the challenge is they don't know how to deal with their emotions a lot of the time. They don't really understand how to process it in the best possible way. Because a man is driven fundamentally by a need to feel significant. Okay, and we're going to generalize a little bit here. Okay, it's obviously not every single man on the planet, but as a general rule of thumb, men they're driven by significance, the need to feel important, the need to feel special. Now, because they're driven by that, and their whole sense of mission is all about wanting to break through, to conquer, to achieve things, then what happens is when their partner wants to talk to them about relationship problems or why maybe they're not giving enough attention or anything like that, that's the last thing that they want to deal with. Okay? Not only do they not want to deal with it because it's a distraction from their sense of mission and purpose, but also a lot of the time when men are in relationships, they don't know how to actually communicate with their partners. And it's very different going and talking, amongst their mates and their friends and so forth about, sports or, work or whatever, versus talking about feelings and emotions and so forth that they would be with their wife or their partner. So it becomes a really difficult thing for a lot of guys to do and to deal with. So what do? They want to run, okay? They want to run. And as a result of them running, that obviously probably makes you feel like, feel alienated, feel like you're not understood, feel like you're not really even safe in that environment that you're in right now. A whole bunch of emotions will probably come up for you. But that's just his way of processing it. And one of the things I see a lot is that when conversations are being had between their, husband and wife, when a husband might say something, immediately the wife gets defensive. And that could just be in the form of just facial expressions changing. It could be in terms of verbally as well, just getting a bit defensive about what he said. And then what that does is it causes him to get on the defensive, and then he fights back and pushes back, or he runs, and then that cycle just repeats over and over. Now, because I primarily work with women, I'm going to assume here that you're a woman who's watching my videos. And so because of that, I want you to really take that mindset of what can I control? What can I control in my world? And how can I show up in the best, most full way that I possibly can? And if you take that approach, then what you're going to do is you're going to have the right mindset to ensure that you can control what you can control. You can control the controllables. And part of that is making sure that when you communicate with your husband, that you try not to get defensive. Try not to get defensive. Understand his world. Okay? Understand his world. Because the defensiveness is going to cause him to get defensive, and then it's all going to just fall apart. So the first point I really wanted to make here was making sure that you limit the amount of defensiveness, okay? Because it's just going to cause him to react, and I don't want that for you. Okay, now the second step I want to talk to you today about was about empathizing, okay? So what do I mean by that? Naturally, guys want to have a little bit of space from time to time. They're going to want to go off into their cave. They're going to want to go off and watch TV. They're going to want to go and hang out with their friends and have a beer and all that sort of stuff. That's just kind of the things that we do as men, okay? So the most important thing is that when someone is going through a tough time in a relationship, okay, I know you're going through a tough time if you're watching this and you're going through a difficult challenge in your relationship. I know it's going to be tough for you, but it's also important to remember it's also going to be tough for them, okay? It's going to be tough for him. Now, a lot of the times people forget about that. You know, we kind of almost feel like we're the ones that are going through the pain and that the other partner isn't. That they're the ones off having a good time with, you know, their friends and so forth. And while I'm not excusing that behavior in any way, once again, it's about controlling the controllables. And part of this is making sure that you actually have empathy for where he's at. Now, here's the beauty of it. When you actually empathize with your partner, one of the key things that is brought about then is we start to come from our heart. And when we come from our heart, we start to feel what they feel. We start to understand their world. We start to make more of an effort and have compassion for where they're at. And when we have that compassion, we just react in so many more positive ways. We don't take it personally all the time. We truly understand what's happening in their world. And we start to show more love, show more kindness, and that's what we need to bring about more. Because as soon as we fall into those patterns of anger and resentment or jealousy or whatever, then, you know, huge problems arise. And I think you have to remember that there's always two sides to the story, always. And I'm not trying to, you know, play down the pain that you're experiencing, because I know that he would have contributed a lot to it. That's just the nature of it. But I also know that if I spoke to him, he'd probably say something completely different. And that's why there's two different worlds. So the greatest gift that you can give right now is to actually empathize and understand his world more. Make a conscious effort in order to do that. And as you do that, he's going to feel that. He's going to recognize that you're not just out there to, you know, bash him whenever he does something wrong, that you really understand his world. You know, I know for me, my wife, I mean, she's the most remarkable woman, and she always is constantly making an effort to understand my world. And as she does that, it makes me want to give more, to love more, to care more, because I know that she actually cares about me at the deepest level. And it's such a beautiful feeling. And so I really want you to remember that the more you can have empathy, and so if he needs some space, be okay with that. Let him have some space. You know, let him have those times where he needs to go out and play golf or, you know, hang out with his buddies every now and then and so forth. Obviously, you need to set some boundaries, and I'll talk about that in a separate video. But the most important thing you can do right now is understand and empathize, you know, with his world. Now, the big thing I need to also stress here is I'm going to make the assumption that your husband or partner is a good man, okay? Yes, there are some people out there, narcissists, sociopaths, and so forth, that we've got to be a little bit careful about. And once again, I'll talk about that in different videos. But at the moment, the key thing to remember is if your husband's a good man, really empathize, really understand his world. And as you do that, he will respect and appreciate you so much more because you're giving him the space to be able to express himself in the way that he needs at that moment in time. Now just quickly, in the comments section below, I just want you to write down, what is the single biggest challenge that you face when it comes to showing empathy for your partner or husband? Just quickly write in the comments below. Now the third most important step that you can take in order to give your husband space is to center yourself emotionally. Okay, what do I mean by that is that when we're in a crappy emotional state, and we've all been there, I know I've been there myself, whenever we're in a crappy emotional state, we make crappy decisions. We do stupid things. We say stupid things. And that's why emotions govern everything. If we're not in that right emotional space, we're not going to say the right things. And that's just the reality of it. And not only that, but our body language, everything is just going to come across in a really, really negative space. Now, does that mean that, you can't ever be angry or sad or whatever? No, not at all. But at this moment in time, if your relationship or your marriage is not going as well as you want, it does require a little bit more effort from you in order to get yourself nice and centered. Why? Because you want to make sure that you're in the best emotional place yourself, because you want to feel good. I don't want you to feel, crappy and sad and so forth all the time. I know how tough it is, and I know how difficult, relationships are, but, it is such an important thing to be able to center yourself emotionally. And one of my clients, Jessica, she did this incredibly well. She made such a conscious effort every single day to get herself into a beautiful state. And as she started getting herself into that state all the time, then it meant that when she was dealing with her husband and she was dealing with some of the challenges with their marriage, it meant that she could actually center herself, and whatever it is that he said, she could actually hold her center and not react negatively like she was previously. As a result, a few months later, her husband and her are really connecting better than they have in years, and things are really starting to move forward. He's wanting to work on the marriage now as well, and he's started to go into counseling. So that's the beauty when one person takes the lead. But you've got to be willing to also get yourself into a really good place emotionally, because otherwise what will happen is no matter what he says, you're probably going to react negatively, and vice versa as well. But if you can take the lead, it means that you're really setting the platform for a beautiful, beautiful future. Now here's the thing. The question is how do we even go about changing our emotional state? What do we even do? What does that even mean? Well, it's a really, really good question. And that's all covered in my upcoming masterclass that I'm going to give you access to. Now, all you need to do is below, there is a link to register for that masterclass. And there'll be a specific time where you can join on that masterclass, and I'll talk you through the 3 steps that my client Sarah used to be able to save her marriage in less than 60 days. It's a really, really amazing masterclass. You're going to love it. You're going to learn a whole ton of practical strategies that you can use to begin to actually turn your marriage around really, really quickly. So just make sure that you stick around to the very end, because I'm going to give you access to a free gift that I know you'll absolutely love as well. Now, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, just hit the like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Now, if you want to learn more about how to avoid emasculating your man, then just click this video above. And if you want to learn the 3 most important steps that you can begin to take to save your marriage or relationship, then just click this video above. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon.